only thing. It would be really nice if you don't use controls but do it with mouse, so we see where it is that.
Very good. Good. So, good morning. So today we're talking a little bit about recording and sampling, and I want to first go into the source of the whole thing, which is the microphone. And remember how yesterday I talked about two different types of microphones? I don't know if you remember, but so we have dynamic mics, which is sort of the one with the red tape on it. And do we have an instrumentalist here, like a violin or something? Yeah, do you have your violin here? Because then we can maybe...
Upstairs.
Upstairs.
I can go. I'm fast.
Okay, that would be good.
I'm running.
I could have thought of it before, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But I thought instruments are extensions of ourselves, so they're always good. So I don't know, do you want to pause it real quick or no? We just...
You can pause live stream, man.
No?
I'm gonna put that your logic on. So there are some seconds counting, and your face is not on. Pause live, and you can't go ahead of time.
Yeah.
Ahead of live. I would like to.
It's the one thing we haven't invented yet, and it doesn't look like we're going to.
Well, time is relative, so.
Sorry?
Time is relative, so.
Well, it's relative, but it's so far as we know it's only moving in one direction, and we can't speed it up.
It's the matter of how fast it's moving in one direction. What I found out, I do a lot of live concert broadcasts, and most of the time without scores because I don't have so many eyes and hands, and just by feeling. And then it's very hard to miss the first getting in of that field solo, for example, and it's many times just a tiny bit late. And what I thought that I should do it this way, that I have my sounds coming in the right moment, but all of the video and sound going out delayed by, let's say, 1 second.
Okay.
So every time I'm a little bit late by sound, I'm really on time for for the broadcast. So the time is relative. I can bend the time if I really want to.
All right. So I would like you to go to that microphone with the red tape. Do we still have that on screen? Yes, we do, right? Perfect.
Yeah.
And go close to it. And I just want to show some. I'm gonna. Already we see there's very little signal coming in, so I'm even turning it up a little bit. The gain.
I can get it closer to me, huh? Is it fine if I take it?
Yeah, it's fine.
Just a 5. Like this. That's good.
Yeah. But go even closer.
Closer?
Because that's the thing. I want to demonstrate how bad this microphone
Okay.
is for you.
Thank
And
you.
then, but then point it
Into the...
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So
Maybe a bit higher, no?
It's okay.
It's okay?
Yeah.
No, I can work for it. Or maybe not.
So I'm just gonna.
So, do you want me to
explain.
play?
So just play something. Wonderful. Okay. So we recorded that on the dynamic mic now, and you can already see there's very little waveform that we see. There's very little signal. And now let's do the same thing in front of this microphone.
That one?
Yeah, that one right here.
Okay.
Maybe we should have put them next to each other, but
No, it's fine.
it's okay.
I like to exercise.
It also has a very low level, but it's
Yeah.
but you will hear. I will play them back now, both of them. So this is what the dynamics of my sound like. Not bad. And then if I go to the other recording, I don't. You think it's the same? I think let me put them all up so that they actually have some signal. I mean, even from here I can hear it has more detail. The other one is more muffled. So it's important for you to understand sort of that sound difference between the mics. So when you do get a mic for yourself, think of what you're doing, because if you would be singing, which we will do also later, we will probably use the dynamic mic, because for singing a mic like this is terrible. It will distort and it just doesn't take that kind of pressure well. And so that was sort of about the recording. So the other thing you want to think about when you record is the positioning, how you place the microphone. I mean, we could do some experiments where you play behind it and it
Yeah,
will
but
change
for
the
this
sound.
microphone, is it good if I'm like super close to it, or it's better to have a
This
bit
can
of
handle
distance?
both, but it sort of depends on the room. The further you go away, the more of the room will also be audible.
Mm-hmm.
And the closer you are, the more prominent you are and your instrument is. So that's sort of the first step where you can control the sound. And usually if you record just yourself, you want to find a nice balance. Like too close is kind of weird, because for the listener, it's like, oh, this person is playing right here in my ear. So if you're too close to a mic and you hear too much detail, it's very difficult to actually get it away again. And if you're too far away, then it's sort of like, okay, so you sort of have to always try out what's the best distance and where does my instrument sound good, and create the impression that I'm trying to create. Like if we had this problem once where we recorded a woodwind section directly, like in separate rooms and with direct mics, so they're very close, and it's pretty much impossible to make them sound like they come from the orchestra, even if you put reverb on it or everything, because you have all this other noise that comes through, like the air flowing through. It's all very detailed and stuff, and it will also go into the reverb, and it will reverb then, so you never get the impression that they're actually in the room. So we recorded them wrong, and you really, if you need to place them, then you need to record further away to get less of that detail in. So that's something to consider when you record yourself, because the way I see this all going is that you guys talk amongst yourself and you record for the other people. People will call you, can you record this violin line? Can you record this little bassoon pattern? And it's so it would be good if you have your own setups where you can do this for each other. And so that's the little bit of knowledge that you need in order to sort of make okay recordings. But in the end, if the only thing you have is the microphone from the laptop, it's better than nothing. It's like photographers say, the best camera is the one that you have at that moment when you need to take the picture. Exactly. It's like it's any camera is better than no camera. But so that's.
But what would you say, like for a musician who wants to record something time by time, like for a violin, in your opinion, which is the better mic that like for like room recordings? For example, you want to record something and listen to your computer, but you want it to be a bit better than computer recorder or a phone recorder, but it's not voice. It's like, for example, with violin instrument.
Personally, I would get something. I mean, he would probably disagree, but he has other options, and I think you should also say what you think, because you have good opinions. I would get the KM 184 from Neumann. It's sort of a 700 euro mic if you get one of them, or if you get two, which is nice, so you can do stereo.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 1,1300. I don't know. So that's what I would get. But Tamo, you're the expert, so please.
Well, I would say it depends on how much you're willing to spend. First, I would just buy a Zoom recorder. Just a quick Zoom recorder that's
Yeah.
300 euros. It has already stereo microphones in. You can connect it as a sound card to the computer. Probably you don't even have a sound card, so you need to buy that one as well.
Good point.
So first, just have a recorder. You can record yourself, playing in the hall. It's a general recorder for everything. Also, you can just, point it near to your instrument and just, do your sampling or whatever. It's very universal, very cheap. And then, you can grow buying Neumanns or even more expensive microphones. The high-end microphones we have, the microphone you're playing into at the moment is, little less than 2,000 euros. And probably you're not going to buy this anytime soon. So.
And it's also, I mean, you don't need, like, if you don't have a really good room, it's kind of, it defeats the purpose. The better the mic and the worse the room, your recording is still going to be very weird because it's out of balance and it's.
There are so many other things you can improve, not just the equipment. Like everything. If you buy a 10 euro violin or 10,000 euro violin, it's a huge difference. But 10,000 euro violin or 100,000 euro violin, it's not so much a difference anymore than the previous stage. So with everything, it's like this, and it makes much more sense to go a little bit better room or just treat your own room. Put some carpets on the walls or whatever. Do something. It's very cheap and it improves your sound so much more than buying twice as expensive microphone.
Yes, absolutely. It's a good point that you talk about the Zoom, because the microphone itself doesn't help you. You also need an audio interface that converts the signal into digital signal.
True.
So, and the Zoom has both of that, and it works as an audio interface. It has a couple of downsides, but I think it has more upsides for the beginning.
I actually thought about the Zoom.
Yeah. It's I had Christian use that for a long while until now we switched to an actual audio interface. But it mainly had to do with monitoring because the outputs on the Zoom are terrible. Like the inputs are good, but the outputs is it's a headphone jack basically. So that's the issue there. All right, so that's a little bit about recording. But now let's get into because if we're talking about sampling, you do have to talk about recording. That's why I wanted to start that. So we touched on the room. Of course, if you're recording for other people, you need to think about listening back, and you need to know how to route everything. But that all depends on the equipment you have, so we can go into that now. We'll fix that. If somebody has questions, we have email, and I'm planning to maybe even set up a discourse server or something where we can exchange information and help each other to grow in this thing. All right, so sampling. Let's first start. I mean, basically, sampling is just taking a recording and playing it back. So that's the most basic thing. So in the early days, they were happy to play back digital samples at all. So it was small file sizes. It had aliasing. It sounded horrible, but they were like, "We can do it, and it's amazing." And they did all kinds of voodoo to make it sound halfway acceptable. And today, we have it so clean, so that people started to sample instruments and try to get every way this instrument can play and record it so that we then can play it back. None of us is probably going to go into that direction because it's crazy. That's why I have this little piano. And if you listen to it, you can already hear the low sound. If I play this very low, it's still the attack is much harder than if you play like on this real piano. If you play a soft note there, it will sound different than this. So this was already recorded very bad. But this is a very cheap version of a sample. But that's why I want to get into it. So the way this is laid out is I'm doing it on the Logic sampler because it's very simple in a way. I mean, there are much more complicated samplers that have many more features that are really important, but this one just shows the basic concept. So you can see here, these are the zones. So we have the keyboard, so that means all of these notes until here. So until here. Where am I? Here. So all of that, that's just one sample in 3 layers. So or 4. So this is the lowest layer. You can see how they jump, right? So that now I played a little louder. Now I'm playing and I'm not even hitting the medium. I think it's maybe just 3. But that's the dynamic layers. But on the tone, all of these are just sampled once on one dynamic layer. So you understand? So probably only this note is sampled. I'm guessing. Where can I see it? Key. Where's the root note? Let's go to zone. Low, high, low, high, low, high. Where's the root note? Does it not show? Usually it has a root note. It doesn't matter. At the end, so you sample one pitch, like the F sharp, and then you play it lower and higher at the same time. Not at the same time, but until you hit the next one. And it just means, but there are instruments out there where every note is sampled in multiple velocities. None of us is going to do even this because it's stupid. And so you get all this detail, and then you need the players, the software, to handle that well, and then you need the person programming it to program it well, and it becomes this whole thing, and in the end it still sounds very dead. That's my whole point. Like, you can get into all this detail, but what you guys do in half a minute will sound light years better than this. So and so that's why I don't want to really go into this part of sampling, but we go into the other part where we just take a little snippet and create our own sounds with it. So the way we did yesterday, which is basically the quick sampler we used, is just a reduced version of the sampler, which only loads one sample, it only does very limited stuff, doesn't map the thing, and but I wanted to show you how, like, what it is people talk about when they're sampling. But there's a whole other dimension in sampling when you're talking about hip hop style or techno and stuff. So that's different. That's like you take a little bit of a recording of somebody else and then work with that. And it's also called sampling, and we can try that if I even have recordings on here, because I don't have the drive where I have actual music on here. But we can take one of our recordings. Let's take something from last year. That's here, 2023, and I should have bounces here. And let's just see what looking for. That's the
first channel there where Tristan is speaking.
the woman from yesterday. Yes.
Yeah, it's just like, that's good enough.
All right. So now I'm better audible on the stream. So if you talk about, just drag it in. Something. So this is more of the way that people in hip hop, you know, we're all laughing about it. It's. But that's where it comes from. I mean, that's how they did it. But they did it even before there were samplers. You had just records, and they would just actually just play that little part and stop. So that's how that started. It's just the recording, like he does on the decks, and you just play a little bit of it. So in this case, if you have like the I think there's an instrumental section. I think there was somewhere. Ah, here. Okay, so like this is sort of a nice little spot that we can take. What's happening? Why do I have so smart? Okay, so I just want to have this and copy this over. Why? What's going on with my key commands? Okay. And we do this with you in a moment. It's probably hard to isolate that. But let's just throw it in and see what happens. So we go to the quick sampler, stereo in this case, and we can drag. Sometimes this trackpad gets stuck. Yes, this is the quick sampler of it that only holds one. So if I play chords, it already. So it's very quick to build your thing, but then let's say you're like, okay, this is a little too full for what I need. So then you can start molding your sound, and I will get into that with synthesis as well, but you do it with samplers also. So let's say you want to remove the bass, so you add a filter, and you take a high pass filter, so that cuts out all the low frequencies. And since it's set very high now, we won't hear anything. Because it filters everything out, so I have to. And then you can also map this so that this filter is triggered by the envelope, by the velocity, so how hard you strike the key. So the velocity, if I set that to go to the filter cutoff, so you see this white dot, that sort of represents how hard I strike the key if I on this keyboard it's very difficult to get soft attack. But you can already hear that, you know, even like that you can create like and it changed the whole perception of that samples that we had. And then if you sort of, this parameter emphasizes the frequency where the filter works. So this sets where the filter is in the frequency, and this, the resonance, shows how much you emphasize that frequency or amplify that frequency. So this can get crazy, actually. You know, so, and if I let it feep, and so what I'm saying, very quickly you can get a dynamic instrument. Let's record you for a moment on the thing with just a short phrase, and then let's go into the vocal also in a moment. Huh? Yes, of course, anytime.
Does Logic also have some other warp modes like that keep the format of the original audio in this thing as well?
Yes. Yes. If I drag it in and I go, if I go into optimize, I dragged it into original when I dragged it in, and there's two modes, and I think optimized will. No, it's still chipmunky. Yeah. So the short answer is no. It's not made for that. You need a different sampler to do. Like, I think Alchemy can do that if you're staying in Logic, but it's not doing it well. So if I was doing that, I would use Kontakt for it.
What's the question, really? Sorry.
So that the format, that it doesn't sound chipmunky, but that the formants stay and you just pitch it up and down. So you have actual pitch shifting, because this is just playing it faster and slower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there are two ways. If you, like a vinyl disc, if you play it faster, it goes higher, and the other way, and then it's faster. But if you time stretcher, keep the time the same and just
exactly. But
then isn't it the classical recorder styles are the one? Isn't this changing anything?
No.
On the top left corner, you have the classic, or the recorder doesn't change anything?
No, the recorder is that I record something into it, and one shot just plays, it's and slices. So both this sampler and the real sampler from Logic, they both don't do format and pitch shifting and stuff. They do classic, just speeding up and slowing down. So if I would have to do it, I would do it in Kontakt. Or some other software. And as I said, I think Alchemy can do it, but it's not so good in my opinion. I mean, Kontakt does it better, and probably Ableton Live does it better too. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not putting the technology down per se, I'm just saying that Alchemy, I don't like what Alchemy does with it.
The only issue is that you need to make sure that your CPU can handle it.
Yeah, well. That's another thing. Okay, so now let's try. So now let's not think melody, but think.
There's only melody.
No, there's not only melody. Okay, I would like to get this. So okay, I'm just give me sort of a staccato. But really scratch it. Oh, sorry, I need to. Yeah, but not as a pattern, but just like bop, and longer, like a real scratch. Yeah, and can you do it even longer? Then it becomes a no. So we have very little pitch.
Very little pitch.
Yeah, very little pitch. Yeah, sort of.
Super little
So,
pitch.
and then give me one that's short and one that's as long as you can make it. And now one on the top strings.
There's going to be pitch.
Can you mute it with something?
Like, I don't know.
Can you mute her string?
Then it's the pressure.
That's still pitch.
Even if you, okay, cool. Fine, that's enough. And we just take,
I can do this.
then let's get, okay. So now we have a couple of options. And let's see what we can do with it. I mean, if you want, you could also just do it, but I think it's quicker if I just try it myself. And we want to see the things. So let's hear this one.
Yeah. Like,
That's a psycho scratch.
that's still pitch.
Okay, maybe we can build a hi-hat with that. Let's see. So I'll drag it into the original in this case, and I want to play it from here. So in this case, let's see if we filter out the pitch. And we distort it a little bit. Well, that should really it still sounds like a violin. It's but let's see where we can get it. So I wanted to have 1 or 2, for example, and then and then we take the next one. Did we get a real note? Right, we got one note also. That was. Do we have a longer one?
Like, oh,
Okay, let's get a longer one also. Like a cleaner one. I was like, why are you running away?
because I'm fine. But everything is pitch on violin. I don't know.
No, but we want a note now because we want to build something. So now just a clean note.
Like,
More like not so soft, but
okay.
stronger. Okay. Yeah, let's take that and let's build something with that. So we take that second one, and we can build. Let's go into the original. So immediately you can start, and I want to actually build a bass line from it, and I'll show you. So now the problem is when I pitch it down, I kind of, it has this it starts slow because that's how the thing, so I'm gonna just move the beginning of the sample in the middle. So the sound is just there. And then I don't want to have it just play. So I'm going to control sort of that it stops playing before I release the sound. You know, and we use what's called an envelope for that. So an envelope defines how quickly a sound gets loud, how quickly it drops to a certain level, and then when you let go of the key, how long it takes till the sound actually stops. So that's an envelope. We call that an envelope. And on this case, it's just, so if I make this, what am I? Oh no, this is the one that's, so if I extend the release very long, it just keeps fading. And if I make this very short, it stops right away, right? So that's this thing, and but what I really want to do is I want it to go down quickly, but then hold. And the little click in the beginning, that's because the attack is so short. So if I make that longer, now it becomes less clicky, right? And this keeps switching on and off. But okay. So yeah, maybe, I don't know what it is. And now, if we want to create a bass, that means we want to filter out the higher frequencies in this case. So we put a low pass filter on it, which means it filters out the high frequencies. So already, you can start. Oh no, am I on the same instrument? Did I just move that into the wrong? Oh shit. I lost our hi-hat. I did it on the wrong instrument. Why? Because I didn't make a new one, I just made a new track. Anyway, okay. Well, we'll do the thing again. So even from your violin.
Oh, it's from me.
That was you. Yeah. Oh, you didn't follow the steps?
No, I followed everything, but still, like,
it's
I'm surprised.
Exactly. So you can very quickly bend everything. Let's try and get you in on. I forgot your name. What's your name again? Elise. Elisa. Let's get a little bit of vocals on top of this. If you go to the mic with the red tape, that goes right into the. And of course, in this case, I'm asking you to just come up with something, and let's do a different bass line. That's a little bit.
Silent, loud, strong, high, low.
Hang on. So 1, 2. I'm going to change we will make a simple. We'll make a simple bass line. So it's. Hang on, I'm on the wrong. No, I'm on the right instrument. So we do it like this, and then you come up with what you want to do. And we should be hearing you already. If you, do we hear you?
1, 2, 3.
Ah, okay. So, I mean, just come up with something that goes with that, and we'll work from that. Okay, let's take one note at a time, sort of do the Jacob Collier thing, just one pitch at a time while we build a stacked chord, you know. So,
Okay.
so just sing
some short notes?
where are we? So just go,
Okay.
and all right. So the point is, so now we have her recording. Oh, and you can already see how much more volume this has as opposed to the violin. But still, we heard the violin very clearly because it has all these high frequencies that we perceive differently from, whereas this has more bass frequencies, so it looks more energetic. So that's sometimes the visual can be confusing. Okay, so I don't know. I mean, you're probably much better in just creating something quickly, but I will try my best to. Okay, so I like the. I kind of like that one, so I'm gonna take that out. Does it start earlier? Exactly, so let's get that into a sampler. Quick sampler, bam, and we can try what the optimized version will sound like. Root key. Okay, let's put the root key. It should really be. No, this is probably correct. So we mute the recording for now. Let's just capture that. I'm used to having a real size keyboard, and these small laptop keyboards drive me nuts. Did it record that? No. Why not? Because it's a piece of Okay, it's actually, I actually like what we have. And now let's take these single notes that you played and just put them on every, so I'm just cutting them and I'm using them sort of as chords. And we cut it, let's see. It is already cool, and I didn't do much. I mean, you saw exactly what I did. It's very simple, and you can do this within like an hour.
Or more, we're not
Yeah, yeah. No, but
all the time.
but my whole
Yes, and while we watch YouTube tutorial for 1 hour.
but my whole
And then we're like, how did he do it? And then in the end, like, he used some controls.
but it's really like it's kind of cool actually.
Yeah.
And this is also sampling. It's the same thing, like cutting her these chords. You know, it's pretty much the same thing, except I'm not triggering it with a keyboard. I'm just cutting it to these spots. It's pretty much the same thing. I'm treating the recording as a sample, but I'm just looking at it differently. And of course I can throw. I mean, you understand by now. I can throw the long note into this sampler as well. You know, and then
Is there just one sampler?
it's just this note that I took, this here, and I now have it on the key, and we're and I can do it that way too, but I mean it's nicer if you actually sing it, but and you know it's still the chipmunk effect, but if it's just one note, it doesn't quite sound so bad. You can get away with it. Oh, this is
Over, it sounds nice.
yeah, this. So here's our B section. You know, you sort of.
Cool.
Capture recording. It's yeah. Should have recorded it. Okay, I think that's sort of enough for now. Do you have questions, like specific things?
I have questions when I started.
Okay,
Because now, like, it's a lot of information.
okay. It is, okay. Cool. So thank you, and go to the stations and work. Thank you.